Renowned manga writer Akira Toriyama has passed away in the last week, March 1st, at the age of 68. Most people know Akira Toriyama because of his main mangas, Dragon Ball Z, and also the anime Dragon Ball Super, which he brought back. I believe I heard it was after the whole Dragon Ball freaking movie came out, which was just a horrible thing. He decided to come back, and that's where they made Dragon Ball Super. For me, Dragon Ball Z has a really big place in my life. I remember being in the 4th grade, coming home and watching Toonami on Cartoon Network, and I remember the first time I watched Dragon Ball Z. It was literally the first episode. They happened to go back around. It was the first episode, and I remember just seeing people flying around, shooting beams out of their freaking hands, it was freaking amazing, and it just blew my freaking mind. Needless to say, I got very addicted to the show, and my brother eventually got addicted as well. Go figure, because it's a freaking amazing show, very amazing manga as well. But it got to the point that we would come home from school and we'd have to, do homework or do chores and stuff like that. So we would have to miss the show, but we would record it on VHS and we'd watch it later on in the night or like the day. So that was kind of like an interesting thing that we had to do. So I remember back in the early days of the internet, me and my brother would go online and we'd just look up Dragon Ball Z. We'd look up Dragon Ball Z photos, Dragon Ball Z this, Dragon Ball Z that, and we would read about the story. The stuff that hadn't come to America yet. We didn't understand it didn't come to America yet. We were too young to understand that, hey, there's like licensing stuff. So what's going on in Japan was complete news to us. But one of the big things I do remember that was amazing, that also brought joy to my life was, so we obviously watched Dragon Ball Z all the way to the end of the Frieza saga. And then after that it goes into the Android saga. And I just remember, I don't remember where we went, but we went to a video store. I remember what it was called, but we went to a video store and we found a cassette tape that had Trunks. Had Goku coming back from the Frieza saga, all that kind of stuff. And it was like, I think it was like 3-4 episodes. I remember that was like the craziest, coolest thing on the freaking planet. So full disclosure, these cassette tapes that we did buy from the video store were actually released by Funimation themselves. But it was kind of crazy. It was also kind of interesting because they were releasing stuff that hadn't come out on Toonami yet, which was like, oh my god, we're ahead of the curve on this. So I remember my brother and me invited multiple friends over to watch this cassette tape that we bought. It was like 4 episodes. It was literally the episode where like Trunks shows up, Frieza shows up, and then Trunks just turns to Super Saiyan and like slices Frieza up and like I guess kills Frieza's dad as well. But the gist of it was like we had this cassette tape that had like the future of freaking Dragon Ball Z. And it was interesting because we invited all these people over to like watch with us, well, people meaning kids, friends, to watch it with us. And they were just flabbergasted with the fact like, oh my god, I saw this person online. What the heck? How did you get this? It's so crazy. It's like, we just went to the video store, bro, Akira Toriyama made a really, really amazing show. And one of the things that made it really, really good is just people were so excited to see the next episode that like, I'll never forget the days that we had that cassette tape that was ahead of the Toonami, And everybody was like, oh my god, this is amazing, this is crazy, oh my god, that's Trunks, oh my god, Frieza's back, what the heck, And then, oh my god, Goku's back, It was just, Akira Toriyama was very, very good at what he did. Extremely good at what he did. He made an amazing manga, worked really, really well with the anime stuff, and made sure that it was something that people looked forward to. I mean, hell, the only reason that Dragon Ball Super came out, allegedly, is because whenever the Dragon Ball movie came out in America, it was so bad. Well, it wasn't so bad. Like, Akira Toriyama actually tried to talk to the people that are making the movie, and they literally just put him on the sidelines, didn't listen to him, to the point he's like, I'm just going to make another anime. And that's where Dragon Ball Super came from, apparently. But one of the biggest influences on my life that Akira Toriyama had might have been Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, to a certain extent. But the one that I hold the most closest to my heart is probably his involvement with a game called Chrono Trigger. If you've never heard of Chrono Trigger, it's a really, really influential RPG, and you should definitely check it out. But the big thing you should know about Chrono Trigger as an RPG is it had what was called the Dream Team. 3 people were, I guess, on a train. They went to America to do something, and they just talked and gossiped about, hey, we should work together and make an RPG or make a game together. And those 3 people were Hironobu Sakaguchi, Yuji Hiroi, and Akira Toriyama, the person we're talking about right now. So when it comes down to it, Hironobu Sakaguchi is the creator of Final Fantasy. So if you haven't heard of Final Fantasy, hey, get out of the rock you've been living under. Also, Yuji Horii is the creator, or I guess he is the creator. Yeah, he's the creator of Dragon Quest. If you haven't heard of that game, then get underneath the fucking boulder you've been living under. But when it comes to Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball Z, and the person who's like, hey, we're not going to leave Dragon Ball on a bad fucking note. We're going to make Dragon Ball Super in an anime. Yeah, so he was the art director. So Akira Toriyama was the art director of this whole situation. But all 3 people, Hironobu Sakaguchi, Yuji Horii, and Akira Toriyama, were literally the dream team that put this game that I love so much, Chrono Trigger, together. So I'm pretty sure you've probably seen, or you're about to see a lot of videos talking about Akira Toriyama, like putting him in the title and stuff like that. When it comes down to it, a lot of people are going to talk about, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, this and that. Like, when it comes to Akira Toriyama, the way he made my childhood, yes, I did love watching Dragon Ball Z. I did come home and watch Dragon Ball when it was on Toonami. I loved it. But the big thing that he did that I love the most and has the most impact on my life is probably his work on doing the artwork of Chrono Trigger. And when you look at Chrono, he's basically Gohan with red hair. We look at Luca, she's basically Bulma. When you look at freaking Magus, my favorite character of the game, I mean, he pretty much is Piccolo with hair. He has the same ears, but he has hair. He's not green. He just has gray/white skin. It really sucks that one of the artists of my favorite video game on the freaking planet has passed away. But also, he had a really big part of my childhood. Like I said, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, also Chrono Trigger. He did the artwork for all those. And it's very unfortunate that he passed away. I really hope, he had a really good life, which I'm pretty sure he did. He made freaking Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super. He probably got a bunch of royalties for a bunch of other stuff, but he really did make my childhood. He made so many other people's childhoods through Dragon Ball, through Dragon Ball Z, Hell, he's probably even made so many more through Dragon Ball Super in the last 10 years, But my biggest thing I want to thank Akira Toriyama for was, thank you for Dragon Ball Z, but thank you for doing the artwork for Chrono Trigger. That is one of the biggest games I've ever played in my life. The one that has the most impact on me. The one that I literally sit at night in bed thinking about, Thank you, Akira Toriyama. Thank you so much for what you gave. Thank you so much. I want to just say thank you to you.